All right, we are back here, hour number 2, starting it off. LSU baseball conversation continuing with our Mondays with Mikie. Mikie Mahtook, obviously LSU legend, host of Mic'd Up, which Lloyd's a part of, is joining us here on this Monday morning to talk LSU baseball. Mikie, good to see you. How are you?
He was swinging that thing.
Good to see y'all, man.
Yeah, stay
good
safe,
morning,
brother.
Hey,
no, look, I'm parked. And I'm holding the camera this time. The angle was a little bad angle last time. You know what I mean? I gotta get more elevated.
Only Mikey would go and check and watch it back and be like, "No, don't like the way it looks."
My wife teaches me that. My wife taught me that. A lot of pictures when I gotta take from her.
Get the angles right. You got to get those angles right.
Yeah, like those girls in the outfield.
That's it.
Yeah, the East Carolina.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, you know.
Oh yes. Yes, I do know what you're talking about. Boy, they were
it's baseball season.
That was influencers in the wild, getting warmer. You know what I mean? When the weather gets a little warmer, right. You know, better clothes, better photo ops. I get it.
Yeah,
great job by the play-by-play announcers to kind of just keep it rolling and not address what just happened.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
Yeah, I'm sure they weren't standing up in the booth.
No, I think they're in a good spot. They're nice and comfortable in their chairs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely. What did you see this weekend from the Tigers, as obviously they were able to get a sweep against North Alabama and keep this win streak alive? What did you see this weekend?
I think you saw what you wanted to see, right? I think you saw a nice combination of pitching and defense. The pitching was significantly better than it was the last 4 or 5 games. And they're throwing strikes. They're attacking guys. Obviously, Cade Anderson was lights out on Friday. Ayenson had the rough. I don't want to call it rough, but he had the bumpy first inning, and then he was lights out. I think he struck out 15 guys, which is the most since Ty Floyd struck out 17 in the World Series. And so, the pitching staff did exactly what you expected to do, and the offense continued to roll. Everybody was wondering about the home runs and the power numbers. I think everybody can kind of take a step back on that argument right now, because guys are starting to drive the ball out of the ballpark. Milam's gotten hot. Jared Jones has gotten hot, and the whole lineup seems to be clicking on all cylinders.
I do want to ask you something about, you mentioned the pitching. Obviously, Cade Anderson goes and shoves again. Do you think that that's been understated as to how well he's played in that Friday night role? Because we all thought going into the year, if you had to draw on a lineup, it would be Chase Shores is probably your Friday night guy, but considering coming off injury, and then they just insert Cade Anderson. If you saw glimpses last year, but to see him step into Friday night and just kind of be lights out to this point, do you think that has been understated?
I think it has been understated, and I think that you can look at that one of two ways. One, is he underrated? Are they not giving him enough attention? Or two, do they just expect it because of how talented he's been and how quickly he's become that bona fide number one starter? So I like to think of it on the second side of it, because I think that everybody saw how talented he was last year. I think they saw his ability to get guys out, especially in postseason play. And then coming into this season, he developed his changeup's a lot better, and obviously he developed that slider. And so now he's got 4 pitches, not just the curveball and the fastball. And then really last year was the fastball, because he didn't consistently land the breaking ball. So I think that people expected that. He's doing what everybody expects them to do. And he's been unbelievable, and he loves LSU. And you can't overstate how important that is, right? Having the talent and having the ability to be a number one is great, but having the talent, having the ability, and also having the love for LSU. William Schmidt's doing that same thing right now as a freshman. I think that can't be talked about enough.
It really is something that's understated, whether it be Cade Anderson or to get William Schmidt on campus and have him be able to perform for you when it's evident every time he throws. He feels like I could see him playing pro ball. I get it. I get the hype. But I do want to ask about, you saw obviously Ayenson with what when were your text about the inevitable 2? He gives up the inevitable two. And I do wonder if you could go into the future. Do you think that there's ever a spot where they flip Shores and Ayenson, or do you like the way that it's set up and constructed to have Shores going on Sunday?
I like the way it's constructed right now. I know we had a lot of conversations about that last week on Mic'd Up about, are they going to flip the rotation between Saturday and Sunday based off what Ayenson did the weekend before. I think that you saw what you saw him do Saturday. I know the competition wasn't great, but the fact that he was able to rebound a lot quicker than he did the weekend before, I think that's a huge thing. And look, Chase Shores has to continue to get innings under his belt, right? Like he's not, he's ready, right? They're not babying him or anything like that, but he's going to have to continue to get those innings. We can't forget that he only threw until April of his freshman year. So he didn't get to pitch the back half into the postseason and at all last year. So he's still trying to get his sea legs underneath him. He looks good. Obviously, he throws a hard fastball. He doesn't get a ton of swings and misses with his fastball. He gets a lot of ground ball contact with it. But I think over time, you're going to start seeing that slider play a little bit more, and you're going to see his strikeout numbers start to elevate.
Yeah, talk about, when you look at this team and you see all the pieces that they have, one of the spots that stood out was third base and kind of the 8-hole spot in the lineup. Who was going to step up and take hold of it? Tanner Reeves had a pretty good weekend. It seems like he's kind of trying to grab a hold of that spot. What are you seeing there at third base?
Yeah, that's a guy that I think both guys Jay's very confident with, right? Obviously, Braswell hit .315 last year and played, pretty good defense on the back half of the season at shortstop, and they thought his move to third base, his defense was going to be even better. But Jay's been very high on Tanner Reeves since he got on campus. He mentioned him a lot in the fall. Tanner Reeves had a extremely successful junior college career, and he came in here with the expectation of competing for a job, and Jay's given him every opportunity, and looks like he's platooning him a little bit more. And early in the season, Tanner got off to a little slow start, but he's hitting balls hard. They just weren't falling. Now they're starting to fall a little bit more, and he's starting to get hot. So, look, I think Jay's going to play the hot hand. I think Jay is trying to get, trying to make sure that he has the best lineup possible, but also the best defensive rotation possible. And so I think, if Tanner keeps playing this way, I wouldn't be shocked if you see him get the majority of the bats at third.
You mentioned like the platoon scenario in which LSU was in, and we talked about this a ton last year to where it felt like nobody could really get their sea legs underneath them, where it was a lot of like moving people in and out, and you didn't know if you're going to play every day in the lineup, and that became a part, like almost a sticking point as to how Jay was handling the lineup. He's still doing that kind of thing this year, but do you see it kind of playing out differently where Jake Brown seems comfortable just getting two at-bats, and you see kind of Larson has played his way almost out of being able to get at-bats, and you see Fried's like, oh, I'll pinch hit, and then you have Baby Pearson. Every time he comes in, he gets a hit. Like, do you think that that's a sustainable way to keep moving this thing along, or is at some point water's gonna it's gonna level out and you'll know who your 9 are?
Well, I don't think you're ever going to have a 9. I think this team's too talented to have 9. I think you're going to have about 12, right? And I think that out of those 12, you want 7 of those 12 to be regulars. And I think you have that right now. If you go to the top of the lineup, obviously Curiel's going to be there. You're going to have Jared Jones that is going to be there. Dickinson's going to be there. Josh Pearson's proven that he's probably going to be in there.
Probably the best ball he's played at LSU.
This is the best baseball he's played at LSU. He had 2 home runs this past weekend. Obviously, a grand slam yesterday. He's going to be in there. You're going to have Milam's going to be in there. So you're going to have Jake Brown, and you're going to have the catchers and the third baseman kind of platoon. But other than that, you're going to have 6 or 7 guys, or probably 7 guys regularly in the lineup, and the other guys, it's going to be based off who's hot, who's not, the matchups. And I think over time you may see that dwindle down to maybe 1 or 2 positions, or 1 or 2 spots on the lineup, whether that be DH, catcher, third base, whatever that may be. But Jay has done a better job this year of saying, hey, these guys are hot. We're going to play these guys. And I think he's done a better job or I guess the players have done a better job of understanding, like, all right, when I get my opportunity, I got to make the most of it. Look, John Pearson, I love the kid. I love the way he swings the bat. He's a freshman. It should be hard to crack the lineup as a freshman in a team like this, right? And he's going to take his opportunities, and if there's someone that goes down and there's an opportunity for him to get more at bats, it's going to be exciting to see. But as a freshman, it's very hard to come in there and say I'm going to be a starter day one. I think Jay's doing a pretty good job of getting all these guys some at bats, or the guys that are going to matter down the line.
Is it fair to say what you saw last year is like kind of you're getting like some of your I guess you're reaping some of that reward from the having to play young guys last year, because I'm thinking about the lineup this year where it feels like you have guys in spots where it's almost solidified. Like you can trust Milam, you can trust Bear Jones. It feels like you can trust Dickinson. Obviously, Curiel is a freshman. That's up in the air as to if that's going to continue. I don't think he's about 450 all year. But last year, going back at it, you look at the lineup and it was what? Bear Jones, Tommy White, and where else were you getting offense from? Like it feels like you're more solidified. So do you think that that's probably a product of what happened last year a little bit? Because you're not even seeing those same guys.
100%. It's a product of happened 2 years ago too. Jared Jones is a freshman starter. You're seeing him progress. Now he's a bona fide superstar in college baseball. He is. I've never seen him swing the bat and do the things he's doing at the plate since he's been at LSU. He's walking, he's driving balls out, left field, right field, doesn't matter. But you saw that he started as a freshman, so he got those experiences. You got Jake Brown, who started last year as a freshman. Every year, the more experience you get, the better you're going to get, right? Curiel is going to be the same thing next year, right? Obviously, he's lighting the world on fire right now. Milam did it last year. So, yeah, I think you are reaping the benefits. Aaron Beatty's going to be one of those guys, right? And so, being at LSU and recruiting at a high level, you want to be able to recruit at least 2 or 3 freshmen that can come in there and play, right? It doesn't necessarily have to start every day, but be able to play, whether they get in middle of the season, day one, whatever that may be, because that builds up a culture and that builds up a roster over time where you're going to have experienced guys, especially in this day and age of the transfer portal.
We've got a little Q&A segment today that we're going to do later in the show, but one of the questions came in and I wanted to ask you and get your thoughts. J Park PT on Instagram asks, who has surprised you the most on this Tiger baseball team?
Ooh. You could almost say Bear, which is a crazy answer.
Yeah. I wouldn't say Bear. I mean, I get it. I get the Bear. Honestly, I'd say Curiel.
Yeah.
Curiel probably surprised me the most. I knew he had talent. And I knew he was a guy they're going to rely on. I just didn't think it was going to look like this right now. Now, listen, the SEC play comes up this weekend. Competition is going to start ramping up significantly from what they've played so far. Curiel had a great weekend in Dallas, and so I think that's going to carry over. There's going to be bumps in the road. That's just inevitable. It has nothing to do with him as a player or his talent. That's just the way it works. You see it. You see it every year with freshmen. You saw it last year at Milam. You saw it the year before with Jared Jones. You saw it with, Dylan Cruz. All these guys go through a little bit of this bump because people make adjustments. The league's really talented. It's up to them. The good ones are able to make the adjustments back. You saw that with Milam. I believe you're going to see that with Curiel. Look, he is very, very advanced at the plate. His poise is something that you don't really see from a freshman. You don't see that from many juniors or seniors in college baseball. And so I think that allows him to have these shorter dips in performance because he's able to get on base. He's able to work counts. And he's not all relying on, home runs, extra base hits, and base hits. He's getting on base and he's doing things to help the team no matter no matter if he's getting a hit or if he's getting a walk. So I think that plays long term, but he's going to have to make an adjustment. But I think if I had to have a surprise, it would be him.
Oh, I would say, and maybe a close second for me would be Stanfield being able to, just the way he's been able to. Obviously, the defense is like something that you would expect because of the way he can track down balls and be able to run. But I think his offensive approach, being in the 9-hole, has been huge for LSU to be able to turn that thing over. Because looking at it, obviously, I think that plays off Curiel as well. Like him being able to be your leadoff hitter was able to move Stanfield to 9. And there's it feels like no break in this lineup at the moment.
No, look, they put pressure, and we talked about this even before the ball started leaving the ballpark. Like, they put pressure on you by getting on base, right? They're always constantly on base. They force the pitchers to throw a ton of strikes. They force them to work really hard to try to get outs. And if you do that at bat after at bat after at bat, eventually you're going to break through and you're going to start scoring a bunch of runs. And so they've done that from day one. This season, and I think now you're starting to see these guys start to get hot. I mean, you knew Jared Jones was going to hit homers. You just knew that he was going to start hitting balls out of the ballpark. He was hitting balls too hard on the barrel too consistently early in the season. They were just doubles. Now they're going over the fence. Milam's getting hot. Milam's got some homers. Dickinson's got homers. So the home runs are starting to come, right? And so I think that they
Luis
put a ton
got
of
one
pressure
for
on you.
Hey,
he got it, and he pimped it. He let you know he got it too.
it's the Puerto Rican Academy, baby.
He needed that. He needed that, right? And I think he's going to hit a few more, obviously. And sometimes it only takes one. Like he felt like he was getting close, and he finally got there. But yeah, they put a ton of pressure on you, man. And I'm excited to see how this lineup evolves throughout the course of the year.
Yeah, talking about Friday and these home runs, how much fun is a game like Friday night where it just feels like everybody in the lineup swinging the bat and hitting it over?
I want to be in the party so bad.
Yeah, the crazy thing about baseball is the one guy that you expect to hit a bunch of homers didn't hit any of that. Right. And that's just the way that's the way it works, right? Then he hit 3 the rest of the weekend, so or maybe 4. I don't even know how many he hit. But yeah, so when you get like that, it's a really fun time to be on the offense because hitting's a very contagious thing. All right, so you have one guy hits one, especially when you got guys that are hitting their first.
Right.
I think that if you have guys like if Jared Jones hits 1 or 2 in a game, like that's awesome. You expect that. But when you have Reeves hitting his first, and when you have John Pearson hitting his first, and you have Luis Hernandez hitting his first, and you have all these guys, Josh Pearson getting his first, like all these guys are getting their first ones of the year. That just brings the energy up in the dugout because everybody wants to see their guys succeed. And I think that's when the contagiousness happens. And so it's, it was a very fun weekend. It was a very fun Friday, and they kind of kept it rolling the rest of the weekend.
Question. You saw the Bear Jones home run to left into the the indoor facility for the football practice field.
Yeah.
What's the farthest one you've seen at Alec Box if that's not it? I know deep center.
So I wasn't there in person. So I didn't get to I get to see it with my own eyes. Obviously you get to see it on the video, but the camera didn't really follow it, and it was just hard to see. And look, he absolutely hammered it. It was a bomb no matter what. Obviously, he got the jet stream behind it to make it go even further. Look, I don't know where that one landed, but the one I've seen in person, my sophomore year, there was a guy from Arkansas, Brett Eibner, played in the big leagues for the Royals. He was a pitcher and a hitter. He was a pitcher and outfielder for Arkansas, and he hit a ball over the A of Alex Box off one of our pitchers, and it was the furthest ball I'd ever seen hit in that stadium.
Can't you give the courtesy jog in the outfield? Don't even have to move.
No, I was in right field, and I was like, oh, my God. And, so that, up to that point, that was the furthest. Obviously, I don't know. We didn't have all the stats to measure how far it went. Did they come out with the measurement on how far Bear Jones' ball went?
No, it didn't get tracked on the StatCast.
See, I think that's a conspiracy, man. That just all the long home runs don't ever get read for some reason. It's bullshit.
Well, Eddie had one that you would have loved to have made a play on, where he hit one off the top of the wall. That's your calling card right there. You could have brought it back.
Well, luckily, the walls at LSU are a little taller than the ones they were in Detroit, so I don't have to worry about that.
Go up for it. We do have a glaze session for you, real quick. You talked about freshmen playing at LSU. Our guy Glimmer, only Mikie made it look easy to play as a freshman. So there you go. If you're going to take that with you for the rest of the day.
Hey, listen, I promise you it wasn't easy. And I promise you, if you really go back, I know, it's a long time. Sometimes you only remember the good things. You really go back, you see some of my freshman mistakes, especially on the base paths. I was did some things, or Maneri, I think, wanted to kill me, but it worked out.
And all you have to do is, if you really want to go back, is just get your front foot down like you did against Texas, dude. And just get it down early.
Listen, I was a very early guy. Get the foot down early guy. When you get 97, you're blowing a body and you're barely hitting it to right. They did me a favor about throwing me a breaking ball there. Just get it down early.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's been fun to watch LSU, and I do think. Oh, last one here. If LSU doesn't sweep Missouri, season's over, huh?
Yeah, of course, because sweeping is hard to do. You should never lose games in baseball. It doesn't. The best team always wins. That's just the way it works. It's easy. It's an easy game. Yep. Easy game. So if you don't sweep Missouri, it's a failure.
Amen. All right, we appreciate it this morning. Great insight, obviously. Make sure Good show. Have a good show tonight.
Yes, check out Mic'd Up 6 to 8. We had a great little visitor on Friday with Milazzo breaking down the catcher spot where he got really in the weeds. Baseball is easy.
If you want to go back and look at that one, that was great insight, and I think Milazzo had to get some things off his chest, and it was nice.
It was. But I'll be back with you tonight. What? Be there at 5? Get there early,
tonight.
have some fun.
Hey, be friends.
That's right. All right. Appreciate
you,
you, buddy. Thank you, man.
All right, thanks, boys.
Yep.
Obviously, great stuff there. My pick for surprising player would probably be Pearson, Josh Pearson. Just as much as it's kind of expected for him to step up and make plays, how consistently he's been swinging that bat since he's.
It is a surprise to see him hit it this well this early, but it's so. I almost feel bad for him in a way because like every time he goes out there he's in a spot, you expect he's like, oh, he's the clutchest player like that LSU has. Like, of course he's up in the spot. That's such a hard thing to have to like live up to that expectation. To see him do it outside of that probably makes him feel pretty good. To where it's like, I don't just have to do it this one way. And somebody in the Glimmer still drilling over the cutoff play that Pearson made. Like, that's going to get lost in like the annals of history. But that is a game-saving play where you'd have 2 losses.
It's crazy how many game-saving
plays
he's made in the outfield,
whether it be on defense or on the offensive side.
Right.
But I mean, it's
Kason Evans is another pick for surprise, like where he's just come in and he's got a stranglehold on the closer spot,
which is awesome.
And it is infatuating when he's on the mound at the end of a baseball game.
Yeah, it's hard to not have confidence whenever he's out there. And another thing would be like. Hard to not feel good about when you didn't have to use